Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a beautiful 20th of October, 2021. Coming at the Crusty podcast, episode 153. Inflation at 4.4%. Feds are off work until 22nd November, and municipal elections here in Alberta have gone woke. All that and more. Stick around. Listener discretion is advised.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not fight me. Yes, sir. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast, a Canadian veteran's point of view on political, social, economic issues and life. Here's Crusty.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Inflation at 4.4%. Feds off till 22nd November. Municipal elections have gone woke, and other dramatic influences coming at you from the Canadian government. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck, on this beautiful 20th of October, 2021. And yes, inflation has gone sky high compared to last year and compared to what happened in 2003. Of course, with the Liberal government borrowing more of your money and giving it away in the name of virtue and saving the world and all that good stuff. Just a reminder, if you like and hear what you see, please click like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and share this all around, all over your social media spectrum, and help us independent folk get the words out there. Now, I came across a video that Mr. Pierre Poilievre did on his his YouTube channel, discussing and explaining the whole 4.4% inflation on things. Cost of living has gone up, price of beef, grains, fuel especially. My wife did me a favor today. She went and actually filled up my truck, and it cost her $75 from half a tank. Interesting. And it's quite quite the shit show, especially out here in the province of plenty, what we call Alberta, ladies and gentlemen. It's turning into a real, how do you say, catastrophe per se. I don't know about you, but things aren't looking too great on the economic outlook, especially with these elected officials taking more time off, like I said in the title. You know, we had the election on the 20th of September. I did my part and everything, especially when it came to reaching out to people and talking to people. Yes, of course. Thank you. On my time. Yes, thank you for the applause. Side of the world. But it cost me some money to get out there and to promote the values of the Veterans Coalition Party, what have you. But when I look at some of the statistics that the major parties have spent, and we all know that the federal government spent roughly $610 million on their campaigns, taxpayers' money, of course, to basically nothing really, not to venture much, maybe gain 1 seat or 2 seats. But when it was all said and done, this election never really made any that much of a difference, except some people might change their mind next time around if it does come. But it didn't really prove effective, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I'm just queuing up Pierre Poilievre's video here for you to listen to and to watch at your own accord and decide from there, folks, to get some insight on this inflation and how things are working. And, well, we'll just leave it at that. So I'm just going to queue up the video here, and you guys listen to your leisure, at your leisure, and decide from there.
Breaking news, everyone. Liberal inflation has hit 4.4%.
The sound's on there.
This is the highest rate of inflation since 2003. Of course, it follows on $400 billion of government money printing. All of those dollars are chasing after fewer goods and services, bidding up their prices. The result, of course, is a higher cost of living for everyday Canadians, hitting the poorest people the hardest. The top line number of 4.4%, of course, is twice the Bank of Canada's stated target of 2%. We're now more than half a year where the bank target of 2% has been exceeded by the real reported CPI.
Yes, $400 billion of government money anywhere but
consumer price index, of course, understates inflation because it does not capture things like the reduced amounts of food that companies put in the packaging that they charge you for, nor does it capture the true rise in house prices. But even with that understated number, we are again breaking decade-long records. and you have to go back to the very beginning of this century to find inflation this high. The essentials of life have become more expensive. Housing prices are up by a third, fuel prices by more than a third, and food prices are ballooning out of control. Just yesterday,
And I'll just pause it there momentarily too. It's quite annoying on how this past year we've all seen and heard the amount of ridiculous spending going into things, and nothing's really being done about it. All because, leaders get kickbacks. Self-explanatory, really, when you think about it.
blocks reported the price of chicken is up 35% in Newfoundland, butter 42% in Nova Scotia, oranges 17% in Quebec, bacon 19% in Ontario. So working class wage earning people are seeing their paychecks shrink in real value as the cost of everything goes up in relative terms. Of course, the very rich are rolling in cash. Their assets have inflated in price. Their stocks, their mansions, their bonds, their gold, and other assets are becoming more pricey, which means their net worth rises, while the working class people see their real wages drop. Massive wealth transfer from the have-nots to the have-yachts. Of course, this is all part of the liberal inflation tax. Governments print money to pay their bills, thus driving up the cost of everything. Instead of just raising your taxes directly, which liberals would love to do, they do it in a stealth and silent way by simply printing cash, flooding the marketplace with that cash, bidding up the price of goods, and leaving you with the bill. But we will fight back. We're going to fight against money printing in favor of sound money. We as conservatives believe that we should stop creating cash and start creating the stuff that cash buys. Produce more energy, more nutritious food, build more houses, and more. You supply the economy with more goods instead of just more cash, then you can actually lower the cost of living, make life more affordable so that everyday people can get ahead. That's what our leader, Aaron O'Toole, is fighting for. It's what our Conservative caucus believes in, and that is what we will do as soon as the Parliament resumes. End the inflation tax, restore sound money, make more, cost less, paychecks, not debt. Breaking news.
Yes, it's exactly about paychecks, ladies and gentlemen. No more credit card debt. My wife and I, we've had those issues too the past little while in getting things done, getting things paid off. Now, my credit card isn't ridiculously high, thankfully, knock on wood, but it's come close. Trust me, it's come close a few times.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, the Crusty Canuck podcast. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck. And like I say, if you like and hear what you see, please click like, subscribe, all that good stuff. The little thing at the bottom there. You can follow me on Rumble, Brighton, and Wimkin too. Once I record these episodes, I load them on to those social media sites to stop the whole censorship onslaught. And like I've said, this episode's about the inflation. So things are going up. And on a good note, ladies and gentlemen, I have had an interview recently with an employer, and I start my new job tomorrow. Yes, thank you. Thank you. You got it. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. I'm not going to count all my chickens before they hatch, but it's a start in the right place. Again, like I've said last episode, I've been looking for work, trying to get things on the go here, and try to keep the lights on and try to keep this podcast going, because you, my wonderful audience, my listeners out there, are the ones that count. And I love doing this show, and I love getting the feedback and all that too. And like I say, please click like, subscribe, and comment too whenever you see this or wherever you see this video. And please consider donating today as well. Like I've said before, the last time, I still have a t-shirt draw going on here. So if you do want to win yourself a t-shirt, please consider donating $5 per month. via the address there where it says donate at patron.podbean.com. Crusty Canuck. $5 a month entry gets you an automatic entry into winning that t-shirt. And if you want to go a little bit more, you can donate $10 a month and get yourself a Crusty Canuck podcast mug. You get that mug in the red, and it also comes in black too, ladies and gentlemen. So please consider donating what you can today and win yourself a nice piece of Crusty Canuck merchandise. Or if you just want to donate, you can do that too. No strings attached. We all trying to make money here, try to get things in the go, but I think I'm trying to earn it as anybody should by hard work and dedication and getting the words out there to people too. So as I say, this episode is inflation, 4.4%. And of course, the feds are off till 22nd of November and municipal elections go woke. That's right. Now, the federal election, they had the 20th of September. I can understand if you need a week off to recoup, charge your batteries. Because I remember we used to do exercises in the military. We'd be gone for anyway 4 weeks to 6 weeks, in some cases 8 weeks. We get back to battalion. They give us a week off just to recoup, charge our batteries, clean our kit, sort whatever administrative affairs out, look after our families, our friends, whatever. And then we go back to work, back to post-ex drills and all that good stuff. And everybody was happy. Okay. What gets me was the federal legislation and electors alike. They give themselves all this time off. Okay. Now, Mr. Trudeau is going to pick a cabinet come the 26th of October, I believe. And we're going to probably find some more diversity, more wokeness, and more gender parity, all in the name of progress. And then they probably go back to work on the 22nd of November, work for 3 weeks, and then take another 6 weeks off for Christmas. Isn't that just brilliant? Wow. And all that for $183,000 a year just to represent your riding. Isn't that just fantastic? You know? Pretty scary, isn't it? Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's what it is. So it's money well wasted as far as I'm concerned. Now, considering that we are in this high rate of inflation, of course, those individuals are well looked after, right? They're at the 100,000 plus a year mark. So they can afford the steaks. They can afford the gasoline. They can afford to go here and go there. And when I was running in the election, okay, I had some great conversations with our conservative rep. Okay, nice guy, family man, blue collar oriented, grew up in humble beginnings. Okay. And we didn't really debate, but we bantered back and forth in regards to pay raises and who got what. Now, there were a few conservatives that do give their money to charity. Okay, that's fine. You know, I stated that if I was elected, I'd be giving my money to charity too, and rightfully so, because that's a lot of money to give to a representative to sit and banter back and forth in the House of Commons in this country. In fact, even a provincial MP or a provincial MLA, they get paid quite a few bucks too to sit and banter back and forth and challenge this, challenge that, try to pass this law, this legislation, the way our democracy should work. Okay. But when you're not seeing things get done in the outside of Queen's Park or the legislature or in the House of Commons, you tend to wonder what exactly the fuck they're doing. Okay. So it puts things in perspective, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Now that I'm hopefully, gainfully employed, okay, go to work, do my job, work for some good people, show up on time, do what I can, do the best I can, go above and beyond. That's simple for the pay I'll be getting. And it's a good paying job, ladies and gentlemen. It is. I'm not dissing it. I'm not at all. It'll help keep the lights on and get my savings back in order. And it'll help me again. It'll help me again. And I feel for the people out there that are struggling too. I will say, check out certain sites when it comes to employment. What I can recommend is that we keep struggling. We keep going ahead. We keep going further. We keep persevering, ladies and gentlemen. That's the positive thing I say today, is that we persevere. Now, it took me a couple of weeks to get even a phone call from some of these individuals, but my resume was good to go. My experience was good to go. I was always honest with my employers. I was honest with my interviewees, everything too. So keep that in mind too. There is light out there somewhere, ladies and gentlemen. And we just can't give it up. You know what I mean? We just can't give up on it right now. We got to keep persevering, regardless of how inflation is going to. Keep fighting the good fight. The only thing I can recommend is that we watch our spending when it comes to buying certain meats, buy fuel. Like I mentioned earlier, my wife did me a favor. She spent $75 on filling up my truck. That's from half a tank. Wow. Just the inflation itself in gasoline alone. And not just here in Alberta, but in Ontario and La Belle-Province, on the East Coast, and even in BC too. Ridiculous prices, ridiculous mandates. The cost of living is going up. Why? Because there's no product coming in. There's no products going out. Just the government sitting there churning the old money press, saying, oh, we'll make this, and we'll make that, and we'll create more jobs, more government jobs, more ridiculous known-use offices again, just to feed the guise of progress and prosperity.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
Yes, too. Back at 4.4% inflation. Fed's off till 22nd November. Municipal elections go woke. Like I said, they're off until the 22nd November. So Mr. Trudeau will put the cabinet together again come the 26th and take another month off to fly around and all that. Now, I don't have any footage of Justin being chastised by the Kamloops First Nations, but rightfully so. He's the one that coordinated the whole let's remember this, remember that day. And he went off and surf. Took his sweet time, because of his vanity and his narcissism and all that good stuff. I'm not going to dwell on that. But we're getting to a point now, too, where things are uncertain. Like I said in my last episode, and uncertainty, we can only be certain that we have to look after our family and friends to the best of our abilities, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? I don't have insight in what's going on in Ottawa. I don't have insight, connections in Parliament. I went out and gave it a good college try. And in next election, I will run again. Maybe provincial. I don't know. We'll see. But federally, yes, I definitely will run again. I will throw my hat in the ring again and run under the VCP banner. Right. I'm going to coordinate some kind of conference. We have the VCP party members, try to update a website and have a profile for each candidate, kind of like what the other federal parties do, just to keep things in the go. So you, my listeners and fans alike out there and possible voters can get some insight on another party and other choices you will have in the future. But I digress here too. I made a comment about the whole woke election. Edmonton and Calgary just had their municipal elections, just like the rest of us here did too. And they voted Amarjeet Sohi. He was the infrastructure and natural resources minister from 2015, 2018. And then he was the infrastructure minister, I think, until 2019 when he was defeated. And it's nothing racist to sit and disagree with anybody. It's not sexist to disagree with a female leader. It's not racist to disagree with a man from a different origin. Now, I'm not going to say people of color, even though I just said it. I find that term very, very condescending, ladies and gentlemen. People of color, people of this, people of that. Why can't we just say people? Okay. Yes, he's from India. Whoop-de-doo. Does that matter? No. Can he do the job? Well, we'll see. Okay. But every time we hear about a politician that gets elected, and they're from this or they're from that, they always emphasize on where this person's from or their gender. How come we can't emphasize on what this person can do? Now, I don't agree with Mr. Amarjeet Sohi because he did make a comment about Canadian oil, especially from living in a city that produces and refines Canadian oil. Okay. And the lady in Calgary, I forget her name. I don't have a link to her. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. She is quite the climate activist. So both of them are quite anti-oil when it comes to the bigger picture here. Okay. Now, I guess they really haven't embraced the fact that it gets cold in Calgary during the winter months, just as much as it does in Edmonton and in this area too of the province. And it's not your typical, cold that you get in, in Ontario or Quebec. It's not a very, nice cold. It's a very, very dry cold, spine tingling cold. Nevertheless, it is a bloody, disgusting winter. All right. Now, both these individuals have thrown in their hats on climate change and climate emergency and what have you, and how we have to stop the big climate bad bug from getting us all. Right. So obviously they're not pro fossil fuels, of course. They want to bring innovations here. So any one of these politicians, and it doesn't matter where they're from, ladies and gentlemen, doesn't matter if they're black, white, pink, purple, they identify as this, identify as that. We've all seen how this progress has affected the fossil fuel industry, our agriculture industry, and life as we see it. Look at the gas prices, okay? Look at what it costs for you to fill your small car or your compact vehicle or your van or your tractor trailer to haul goods to market. It's gone through the roof. To heat your home, to heat your business, to look after your workers, to look after your employees, to look after your employer. It's gone through the roof. While the fat cats sit in Edmonton, Calgary, Ottawa, Toronto, Montreal, La Ville de Quebec, and other bigger cities in this country, dictating to you and me, gas is bad. So we're going to start burning wood again. We're going to start generating electricity. What generates electricity? You either have coal fire that does it or fossil fuels to do it. And you got nuclear fuel that does a pretty good job too, which is cleaner in the long run. So when I look at these leaders that are elected based on their gender and the color of their skin, I don't find it progressive. Okay. I want to see what these leaders can do, as we all should. It doesn't faze me what gender anyone is or what color somebody is. Can they do the job? And that you've heard me talk about this numerous times before, ladies and gentlemen, the Crusty podcast. Do they merit? Do they have the cojones, the intestinal fortitude to follow through and do what they must, which is to lead people?
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
As I mentioned earlier, to lead people too. Does it really matter? I don't care where Mr. Sohi's from. I don't care where the lady in Calgary is from. I don't care where you were born, what you do. Can you do it? Can you do it well? Can you do the job? Great. Who the hell cares what color you are? Why is that still such a factor today? Oh, she's making history. She's the first female to be elected in Calgary. Well, that's great. Great. Okay. But Mr. Nenshi was the mayor 11 years before her. Okay. And there's a guy with ridiculous woke mandates and ridiculous BS towards Calgarians and fossil fuels in this country. Okay. And he just conveniently stepped down, right? He didn't put in another fight. So not only he's going to get his little pension from the city, he's also going to get little tickles and slaps and little kisses from behind, little reach arounds to get other perks and advantages too. Okay. And that doesn't matter about anyone's ethnic origin. It's about the connections you make while you're in office. Okay. And what gets me too is that they both weighed in on what Mr. Ford said there a few days back about people coming here and living off the dole. Okay. Now, I don't agree with Mr. Doug Ford and some of his mandates, because some of his mandates have been ridiculous and some of his advice has been ridiculous. But they're putting him in the same category as what they did with Don Cherry a few years back. Okay. He didn't pinpoint any group. He didn't pinpoint any culture. He didn't pinpoint any race or any gender. He just said people. Okay. So let's clear that up right now. Now, regardless of how brash or how upfront he was with that statement, okay, he just said people. Okay. Now, my wife and I, we've been through economic tribulations. We've had some hard times this past year. I have friends in my life and some family members who have had one hell of a go, and they never took the CERB or the CEBA or went on welfare, and rightfully so. That's their choice. And I'm not condemning anybody who needs welfare, who needed the CERB or the CEBA, who needed that help. Okay. But when you actually look at that statement that Mr. Ford promoted, okay, is about people that live off it and thrive off it and expect it. And it has nothing to do with color, race, religion, gender, identity, if you're a sci-fi fan or not. It's a simple fact of people taking advantage of a system that's supposed to help people. Okay. Help people get ahead, not rely on getting ahead. You know what I mean? And I'm not against welfare recipients. I'm not against people that use the CERB or the CEBA. Okay. If you need it, you need it. Go ahead and do it. You know, times were tough. Okay. I actually flirted with the idea of getting the CERB one way or the other too, but I didn't do it. Okay. Because somewhere in our little lives, those little handouts have the repercussions one way or the other. Okay. But I went to school and I knew people that sat on welfare for a long period of time. And I'm not talking 6 months. I'm talking about a year, 2 years. In some cases, some of those individuals were on the dole for 4.5, 5 years because they didn't give a royal hoot about what they wanted to do. Oh, as long as I'm doing this, I can get this check once a month. As long as I'm doing this, I can get this perk and this privilege, blah, 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 blah. Slap and tickle. Who the F cares? Okay. And I'm pretty sure that Mr. Ford was referring to individuals that do that. He didn't refer to any color, didn't refer to any group or any marginalized or minority or whatever fictional term they're bringing in, throwing in our faces. Okay. Because I have worked for immigrants in my life and I know how hard people work. But every society has their individuals that don't want to give, that want to take. Doesn't matter what color or creed you are or gender. Right? There are people out there that take advantage of that and make it bad for everybody else because we still live in a society full of optics. We don't look at the foundation of things still. We're still worried about how the things look and how they move around and how they smell and whether they fart pixie dust or not. Yay. We're guilty of that. But we have to start being a little more critical when it comes to what people are saying. Not criticize everything they say, but let's look at this statement and try to get the real context as we should. Ladies and gentlemen, we're supposed to be functioning adults here. And yet, of course, the media gets a hold of it and just takes it apart and pinpoints and pricks. Oh my God, how dare you? There's so much racism out there. Bullshit. There isn't. There's a lot of professional victims, not a lot of bigots.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And as I promised last episode, ladies and gentlemen, we are also going to have a recipient of the
Canadian Polar Vortex of Bullshit.
That's right. And after considering it for the past few days and looking around and looking at some news stories, some articles I've seen online, and what I have talked to with friends and family, the polar vortex of bullshit will go to none other than, wait for it, none other than cancel culture. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, cancel culture. That's right. Every time you turn around, there's always somebody who's upset or pissed off or feelings get hurt or butt hurt, or they want to pick their nose with someone else's finger, always crying about how this person offended me and that person offended me. So the award of, you know what I mean, the award of
the Canadian Polar Vortex of Bullshit
goes to none other than cancel culture. So every person out there that sits on their hands and screams and cringes and loses their mind over an article, over a word, a statement, a gesture. I don't care how old you are. I don't care what gender you are, how you identify, or what you do when you wake up in the morning. I don't care if you scratch with your left hand, your right hand, pick your nose with your finger or someone else's finger. You really suck. We'll just leave it at that, ladies and gentlemen. We'll just leave it at that. It's just ridiculous how much cancel culture out there is hurting people. Everything from comedians, everything from politicians, everything from people that have their own opinion. We can do better than that. You want to cancel something, cancel a real fascist, cancel a real communist, cancel a politician that constantly wants to take your money and lie to you. Okay? That's the thing. Anyway, this has been another segment of
the Canadian Polar Vortex of Bullshit.
Brought to you by Cancel Culture and all that and more. I'll be right back after this.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And that's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Crusty Canuck podcast. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck. And like I say, please consider donating $10 or more a month and get yourself entered into a draw to get yourself a free coffee mug from the Crusty Canuck store. Just donate at patreon.podbean.com/crustycanuck. Throw your money in today and you will be automatically entered to win a prize, the coffee mug. Or go for the t-shirt. Donate at patreon.podbean.com/crustycanuck. You can find the links in my description as per too. Now, as we wait for the federal parliament to get their act in order to get back to work, I've mentioned this. Well, I've asked this question before too. What's going to happen with online censorship? Now, Spencer Fernando independent journalist, quite the intellect. I've tried to get him onto a live stream a few times there, but he's wrote a pretty good article in regards to how independent media has become the actual healthy opposition towards our sitting government too. And I'm not going to read the whole thing verbatim. That's not my place to do it, but I'll leave a link to the article. Excuse me. I'll leave a link to the article in the description there. And I will read a few words out of it. How I'll paraphrase it. Sorry. Independent media has become the real opposition to the government. And he wrote this a couple of days ago. With the main opposition party torn between actually being conservative or embracing the liberal worldview, the defense of free speech, individual rights, and smaller government is being led by independent media in Canada. Right? There's just a lot of stuff in here about the whole woke mandates in regards to vaccines and how people should get their shots and all this. And I'll say this again, ladies and gentlemen, I don't care. You want a vaccine, get a vaccine. You don't want a vaccine, you don't have to. It's getting to a point where we have to walk a certain line for everyone there. Yes, you don't walk this line, you show your papers, you don't get on the bus. You're bold, right? How that works, right? Reuters called one of the strictest mandates in the world, Justin Trudeau imposing a draconian vaccine mandate and vaccine passport on the nation. Quote unquote, Canada will place unvaccinated federal employees on unpaid leave and require 19 shots for air, train, and ship passengers, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said on Wednesday as he unveiled one of the world's strictest vaccine mandate policies. Federal employees will be required to declare their full vaccination status through online portal by 29th of October. Workers and passengers age 12 and older on trains, planes, and marine transport operate domestically, which are federally regulated, must show they have been inoculated by the 30th of October. So it's a really strict policy. So it's ridiculous where this is going, ladies and gentlemen. And I'll read more. I'll let you, my viewers and deciders do, my viewers and readers alike, to decide. But opposition to the liberal worldview, question mark. The worldview expressed by Justin Trudeau, Liberal Party, NDP, and much of the established media can be summed up this way. Government is good. Individual freedom is dangerous. Canadians must feel guilty for the past. We must restrict our own wealth and economic growth to save the planet. Restricting freedom is justified in the name of safety. Higher immigration is always good. Free speech should be limited and reduced. Demonizing law-abiding gun owners is preferable to focusing on gang problems. Higher government spending is good, and debt and deficits are no concern. Right? Now, and there are some people who actually hold those opinions very dear to their heart, rightfully so. You can hold the opinion, but the actual action is different. But I'll leave this link in the description for you all to read and decide for yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. And hats off to Mr. Spencer Fernando for writing such a great article, too. I'll leave a link to his work as well. Quite the intellect, quite the brilliant individual, ladies and gentlemen, too. Now, my assessment is this. Okay, we've got the inflation going up. People are still worrying about the woke mandates, and the people that we hire to lead us are not leading. They're not leading. So what do you do in these circumstances here? Go out with our pitchforks and our torches and go to the streets like we're hunting down Frankenstein? Maybe we should. Maybe we should. I know our friends in Australia are doing that. Some of our friends in Britain and in France and Germany are doing that. And some of our friends in the States are doing that. And there are freedom fighters here in Canada that are stating it too. But there's a lot of infighting I'm seeing with certain groups when it comes to who's saying this and who's saying that and who's making money, who's not making money, whatever, you know. I, for one, actually grew up with a lot of that Canadian arrogance where my parents' generation would sit there and say, well, we're Canadians, we don't need this, or we're Canadians, we got this, or we're Canadians, we got that. That's great. And all those freedoms are going to be compromised the more and more we talk about it. We've seen it on television. We've seen it. We've seen it in a lot of mainstream media, and how a lot of these freedoms are being compromised. They've tabled bills in the House of Commons, C10, C36, C16, C21, and what's being done about it? What can we do about it, other than getting violent in retaliation? I don't want it to come to that, ladies and gentlemen, and neither do you. But who knows what to say? Who knows what lies ahead? Okay. Like I said in my last episode, uncertainty. I'm still uncertain. But I'm trying to keep a positive look at this. I'm trying to keep the old chin up, the old British adage, of course, and trying to persevere to the best of our abilities. And that's what we should do. So still ask the tough questions, still ask the hard questions, and put these clowns on the spot as they should be. Okay. And if they fail to answer you, well, obviously they're not as genuine as they said. It's that simple. Right? How else do we get the hard answers? I don't want to see violence. I'm not encouraging violence in any means, but where are these options going, ladies and gentlemen? What options do we have left? Well, it's getting more difficult for people to get ahead. It's getting more difficult for people to put food on their table, to keep their bills paid. I, for one, lost a good chunk of my savings because of the past year and a half. And I have friends of mine, acquaintances that I served with that have lost a good chunk of their savings too. So that's the thing. Well, we shall overcome. And we got to keep it that simple. And keep fighting for the light at the end of this manufactured darkness. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I have been Crusty Canuck on this 20th of October, 2021. This will be my last episode for a little while. Like I say, I'll be starting my new job. So basically, I'll be a 10-day shift, 10 days on, 4 days off, 10 days on, 4 days off. So my episodes will be sporadic. So hopefully the next 10 days, I'll have a new episode for you or something. But please pay attention to my community page on YouTube and my update pages on Facebook. And please consider following me on Rumble, Brighton, and Wimkin too, respectively. I try to load the videos and my stories up there as much as I can. I updated my Patreon page too, so I'll leave links in the description for you to follow if you choose so, ladies and gentlemen. And please take advantage of the $5 and $10 entry to win yourself a t-shirt and or mug. Please, every little bit helps, ladies and gentlemen. If I can get it consistent. I have about 8,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel. And if I was to receive, let's say, $1 or $2 from at least half of those individuals, wow, I would be on to something fantastic. But needless to say, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not doing this to get rich. I'd like to make this a full-time commitment, but that's up to you, my listeners and fans and watchers alike. So please consider today donating what you can. Keep it consistent and help us independent folk get our words and knowledge out there for you, the listener, to enjoy and to ponder. All right. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, I have been Crusty Canuck on this beautiful 20th of October, 2021. Halloween is on the way. So get yourself all your chocolates and your lollies and all those good things for the kids. Carve a pumpkin or two. And let's keep reassuring ourselves that things are going to be okay and we can overcome this by asking the hard questions and standing our ground firmly as we should. Like I say, ladies and gentlemen, look after your friends and loved ones. Do the best you can with what you got. And don't hesitate to give a neighbor a hand, a loved one a hand, or even a total stranger a hand with something. All right? Because like I always say, humanity merit wins the day. And I'll see you next time on the podcast. Take care and all the best.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. Yes, sir. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
This has been another episode of the Crusty Canuck podcast. Stay sane and thank you for listening. From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast.
Well, smack my ass and call me Judy.